Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear sisters, welcome once again to our explanation of Surah Al-Fatiha. We will do today two du'as. One of them I did in the first class, and it's in Surah Taha in the Quran. It's the words of Musa alayhi salam when he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help him in order to go to Pharaoh to do his dawah, and he said, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Oh my Lord, shrah li. Shrah, it's open, expand. Li, for me, sadri, my chest. Wa yassir li amri, and facilitate my matter. Wahlul uqdatan min lisani, and untie the knot from my tongue, yafqahu qawli, so that they can understand qawli, my word. Why does he ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open his chest? You know, when you are about to do something, for example, teaching or opening, speaking about the truth, you feel a constriction in your heart, in your chest, from the fear, yes? And also, when you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open your chest, you ask him to remove that anxiety, to remove that fear, but also to open up your heart in order to whatever comes out of it is clear and is true and is transparent. You don't want to come up with certain, hidden agenda that, matters or interferes with actually what you need to say, with the truth. Sometimes when we talk, we are thinking what's convenient for us to say. And so it happens a lot in Deen too. You know, we learn what is convenient for us to learn, and we teach what is convenient for us to teach, or we take it, tinted with our interests for certain reason, because it's my ideology, because it matches as what I believe, etc. And it happens a lot. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open our chest so that, yes, the fear goes out, the anxiety goes out, but also the truth comes out. Untouched, objectively, clear, transparent, without me trying to convince others of accepting my ways, without me trying to indoctrinate, but just say the truth. And then let the person take their own decisions. At the end, we are here just to convey, not to convince. Yes? So, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri, and facilitate my matter of conveying this message. Wahlul uqdatan min lisani, and untie the knot of my tongue. For what? So that they understand my word. Give me a capacity of speaking fluently. Give me a capacity of putting my ideas in order, whatever is in my heart, whatever is in my mind, and say it, and say it in a way that is understood. And the word yafqahu, we will do it in the next dua as well. Yafqahu comes from the word fiqh, which is a word that we know, which means we translate it as jurisprudence. Yes, as understanding of the law. Allahumma faqihni fid din. Oh Allah, increase. Here is faqihni. In the translation is faqihna. And this answers the, well, it's wrong. It's wrongly. Faqihni. But you can say faqihna, and instead of this, you just put an alif, which is, oh Allah, grant us the understanding of the deen, of the religion. Allahumma faqihna fid din. Alright? The word faqihni is a verb. Yafqahun as well. They are just yafqahu and faqihni are the verbs that have the same root word, but they are in different structures. First, this is in present. Second, this is in past. Now, this means they understand me, and here it means teach me. Okay, this is imperative. story. It's not in past, it's even imperative. But also, besides those points, they are in different structure. Here in this verb, it means they understand me. They understand my word. They comprehend. Faqaha is the root word. Here, the meaning is teach me. You see that it's like a little shadda on top of the kaf, and here it doesn't have it. It's because here this is a different structure. Here it means you teach me. You give me the understanding. The other party is doing that unto me or unto us or whatever, yes? Here they simply comprehend and understand. It's simpler. And every time you see this shadda in a verb, it gives more emphasis, not only in a verb but also in a noun. When you see the shadda, which is a little w, that means that the verb or the action is stronger than when it's not there. Okay? So, oh Allah, grant me here that they understand my word. Fiqh, which is translated as the law, it's the understanding, similar to ilm. Is the similar to fahm, to understanding, but it's an understanding which is mainly an understanding of the law and the religious law, the sharia, the deen, the religion. It's a specific word used in this term. Okay, Allahumma faqihni fid din. Oh Allah, grant me the understanding of the deen. Grant me the real understanding, and it's an understanding that is firmly rooted. It's not vague. It's not just I heard. It's not I think. It's a understanding that is firmly rooted, that is truthful, and that is by the hand with conviction as well. Alright? So that's the meaning of these two du'as. رَبِّ اشْرَحْ لِي صَدْرِي وَيَسِّرْ لِي أَمْرِي وَاحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِنْ لِسَانِي يَفْقَهُ قَوْلِي. And the second one, Allahumma faqihni fid din. So we start inshallah. Innal hamdalillah nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem amma ba'd. Fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. So we will continue with this the ayah ar-rahmanir rahim, but before I continue, I would like to share with you this website. It is this website actually. It's sunnah.com. It's a website where you can find all the ahadith from different books. This is the main page. Here it is. So you have different books that you can relate to. There are a couple of them. And then you just click on them and then look for the hadith, and it's organized by books and so on. So the hadith that I want to share with you today is related to Al-Fatiha, and it's a very long hadith, but I'm gonna read the parts that are in this moment left for us. So this book, you can find it in the book in the book of Muslim, Sahih Muslim, is the hadith number 395, and it's in the book of prayers. So you can check it at home and go there. Yes? The hadith is narrated by Abu Huraira, and it talks about the prayer, how Al-Fatiha is the main prayer, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala divides this prayer between himself and his servant. And so coming to the point here, it says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I have divided the prayer into two halves between me and my servant will receive what he asks. When the servant says, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Allah the Most High says, my servant has praised me. Yes, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, my servant has praised me, and he used the word Hamida. Okay? Then, when he says Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, my servant has exalted me. Okay? Because the word here is Allah, yani he has giving me exaltation. Yes? This verb is also meaning something like praising. It's like the synonymous, but in Arabic, well, as well, is giving high status. Then, when my servant says Maliki Yawmiddin, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, my servant has glorified me. And the word he used comes from the verb majjada, which means Majid is one of his attributes, which means the magnificent. It's an attribute of greatness, of power, of majesty, of honor, of, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not just simply, it's mashallah, in a higher status. So that's what it means. Then, when the worshipper says, you we worship and you we ask help, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, this is between me and my servant will receive what he asked for. Then, when the worshipper says, guide us to the straight path, the path of those to whom you have been gracious, not of those who have incurred in your displeasure, nor of those who have gone astray, he says, this is for my servant, and my servant will receive what he asks for. We will talk about it more in detail when we do those ayat. But right now, we are concentrated in what we did previously, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala respond to us, saying, my servant has praised me. Subhanallah, when we do it in the prayer. Yes? Now, then when we say Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, my servant has exalted me. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, we already talked about it. We already saw the root words of them. And subhanallah, we come from the Basmala. We come from recognizing how, mashallah, he's so perfect and how he's the Lord, the creator, the guide, the sustainer of everything that exists, everything that he created it. Yes? We are up to that point. And then we say Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. We come back to recognize these two important attributes that encompass so much. There is another hadith that says that the mercy of Allah is superior to his justice. That these are two attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's merciful, he's forgiving, he's accepting repentance, but at the same time he's just. But for our benefit, it's not equal. It's more, his justice is very just, but his mercy is higher in degrees. And why does this benefit us? Because as humans, we tend to forget. As humans, we tend to sometimes follow our ego, quite often. As humans, we tend to err. We tend to do mistakes. We tend to, wrong others sometimes or a lot of times. Therefore, if his justice would be higher than his mercy, we would be done. Even if his justice would be equally to his mercy, we would be done. If we count how many times we've done good versus how many times, you can say, I have done good quite a couple of times. How many times you've done wrong? Then you might realize that the times you've done wrong are more than the times you've done good. And if you analyze the times you've done good, and you go into the intentions behind doing good, then you might realize that you end up not with so many good pure ones, but with a lot of good actions that are impure in intention. And at the end, what matters is the intention. And if you add on top of that is more the bad than the good that we've done in life, then we are pretty much done. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be, 1-to-1, equally just, with equally merciful, we would be done. Majority of us would be. Because many are the times that we do a good deed and we follow it by a bad deed. And many are the times that we do a good deed with, alhamdulillah, that in the opening of the Quran, he received us with this beautiful with this beautiful message, telling us it's okay, this is who I am. He described himself, and he described himself mainly with the attributes of forgiveness. He's giving us this opening, welcoming with his mercy. This is what we need to keep in mind. And we always need to go back to that. Always need to go back to that. And then there is this contrast here in the following ayah, which is Maliki Yawmiddin. Maliki Yawmiddin, it means, well, first of all, let's see the word. Malik, it's an attribute. It's a name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The full attribute, Malik Yawmiddin. Al-Malik, which is one of his attributes, means the owner. If you remove this alif, it would be the king, which is also one of his attributes. But Malik with an alif is more than just a king. And as I said before, when you see a shadda, it means in a stronger, the same verb but in a stronger form. As well, when in a word or in a verb you add more letters to it, it means a stronger emphasis on the attribute. So Malik by itself, ma, mim, la, ka, means king, the root word. Means to own, to rule, to have power, to be the king. But when it's with an extra alif, like here, means the full owner, complete owner. Owner and ruler and king and everything on it, yes? And then Yawm, Maliki Yawmi, of the day, Ad-Din, of judgment. Ad-Din, Al-Din, yes? Ad-Din. Now, you might ask yourself, why do you read it Ad-Din if there is an alif here? Well, because this is called Shams. There are two kinds of letters in Arabic, Shamsiya and Qamariya. It's a grammatical thing, yeah? But basically, to make it easy, when you see a dal, and half of the alphabet, as a matter of fact, after the article al, you will ignore the sound of lam and you will just pronounce da, ad-din. That's why there is a shadda here, to give you a reminder that you will ignore this and you just will read from a to da, Maliki Yawmiddin. And din, which is a word which means religion, here is translated as recompense. Why? We will see it, inshallah, very soon. So Maliki Yawmiddin, and when we say Maliki Yawmiddin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, my servant has glorified me, and it uses the word in Arabic majjada, the verb, which means to exalt, to recognize his power, his might. The attributes that are related to his majesty, to his majesty, to his greatness, are those attributes of power that shows his power, and that are attributes that are kind of intimidating to the slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the servant. For example, when we hear that he is the one who takes revenge, when he's the one who constricts, when he's the one who also Jabbar, the one who straighten, yes? When we hear these kind of attributes, they generate a little bit of, or a great deal, depending on our level of understanding, of fear, of respect. They bring us back to, okay, calm down, take it easy, When in the other hand, we have his attributes related to his rahmah, like Rahman, like Rahim, like also like Al-Afu, the ones who forgives, like erases, Al-Ghafur, Al-Ghaffar, the one that forgives everything, the one that always forgive. When we have also here the attributes like the one that receives the tawbah, that accepts the tawbah, the repentance at tawwab of his servants. When we hear the attributes of Al-Wadud, the loving one, yes, we feel in love with him. We sort of feel like moved by him, by move, and we feel moved closer to him, and we feel like at ease. But in the other hand, we have those attributes that are related to to his majesty, to his power, to his capacity of, to his ruling power. And this is that contrast. We come from that softness. We come from that loving, caring part that attracts us so much to him. And then here he says to us, Maliki Yawmiddin, I am the owner of the day of Deen. And that, my sisters, is the side of Islam that other beautiful and amazing views, spiritual views, ideologies, religions, not all of them, but some of them are lacking nowadays. And they are leaving their message incomplete. How much we love to hear these messages of love and forgiveness and caring, and we love them. We love them so much. We really feel attracted to that. And sometimes we need to recognize as Muslims that our speakers sometimes focus so much on the majesty of Allah. They focus so much on the power of Allah that they just don't talk enough about His mercy, which is surpassing His justice. That they don't talk much about His love. That they are always like kind of scaring people. But there are two things here. Number one, and coming back to the basics, is never to forget that those two sides are not opposites, but they complete each other, and they make Islam a complete message. Because we got those two sides. We got, yes, the mercy, yes, the forgiveness, yes, the love, yes, all what we want to hear, but we also got the obligation of fulfilling certain rights and obligations that we have towards Allah and toward the rest of humanity. We need that norm. We need that ruling. And we need that bit of fear that make us come back to our senses and say, hey, I'm going to abstain myself from this because I know that if I don't, I will have to deal with harsh consequences. And that's what it is about. Because I'm sorry, I know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy is bigger than anything else in this world, but it's not completely right to say that a person who does all his life good and fears him and abstain from doing wrong with a pure intention, not for showing off, because that's what it actually matters, will be equal to a person who did all the opposite and never repented. I'm not talking here about repenting or the other person, going wrong. No, let's just talk it plain and straight like that. And say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will receive both in the same way on the day of judgment. To our sense of justice, that is not just. It sounds good when you have never been a victim. It sounds good when you're actually the perpetrator. It sounds good when you're actually the one who is always doing the wrong. Oh yeah, anyway, Allah is so forgiving. Alhamdulillah for that. Yes, but it doesn't weaken up people to stop doing wrong. So we need that bit of, hey, every action brings a consequence. Know that. That is the base for the developing of taqwa. Taqwa starts from there. Taqwa starts from recognizing how amazing He is, how forgiving He is, but I will respond. He also got those attributes of majesty. Never forget that. Never forget. that no matter how loving he is a king, he is an owner, he is a master, he is a ruler. He will, impose his justice. He will judge you on a day. And the day, this word, we need to be careful. In what? Because some people can confuse us. 24-hour period of time that we call the day, it's because we live on planet Earth. And the time itself is created by Allah. Because He created the sun and the moon, to mark the times. But we are in Earth, so the days here are different than the days in Mercury and in Mars and in another planets. Now, when everything is finished and destroyed, that there is no sun, no moon, no planet Earth, and we are all gathered on the day of judgment. All of us gather. Then what is the day of judgment? Is it a 24-hour time? No. Yom, it means a period, a spasm of time, if you want to call it, but not time like by minutes or by, it's just a period of being in a situation. Yes, and that's what it means, Yom ad-Din. Because some people can say, oh yeah, you believe in the day of judgment, but what about there is no counting of time, so what do you mean by day of judgment? And they can confuse your belief, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above all of that. Remember always that. He's above all of that. Above, time and anything created. Ad-Din is an interesting word. The root word is dal, ya, nun, and it has a couple of meanings actually. And I got them here. Let's check it out. The root word happens to be in the Quran in 5 forms. And the first time is in the form yadinuna, it's plural, yeah, yadinun, and it's in Surah Tawbah, the verse 29, when it's given an order to Rasulullah to fight against a group of people. And in a part of it, it says, fight against those who do not forbid what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden, and who do not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden and His Messenger, and those who do not acknowledge the true deen. So yadinuna is they acknowledge, and it's the same root word. Yadinuna what? Din al-haq, the truthful deen. Those who do not go by, acknowledge it. I mean, and acknowledge doesn't necessarily means to follow, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it says in the Quran, La akraha fid din. So it's not about those who do not follow it, because people are free to follow whatever they want. And, they know best, and Allah knows best what's the wisdom behind it, and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is guiding them to. But acknowledgement is accepting, its truth. When a person doesn't acknowledge something, it tends to fight against it or to deny it. And it's a verb that comes in a background, historical background, with certain differences with the mushrikeen and the enemies of Islam at that time. So it would be in another time that, worth it of going through it, because this is one of the verses that caused a lot of controversy. And some people open the Quran, bring it out like just blank, as it is about today, as it's referring about other people today, and it's not about that. It has a history, that's Surah Tawbah. In the rest, in the next form, in a different form, it's referring to a contract about a debt. So when you, contract with one another a debt, yani one of the parties lend money to the other, then you need to, for example, contract in how long that debt will be. So this is what this verse is about, and then you should write it down. So when you contract with one another the debt for a certain time, then write it down. This is what this verse says. Yes, and here The word is the root word is the same, and the word for death is dain. Instead of deen, it's dain. And then it also means judgment, which is in Surah Al-Fatiha, and then the rest of the time means religion, judgment, and death, and recompense. It's all related. And maybe here, I would like to mention something which maybe you've heard before, but it's my personal opinion, and it's a view that I have about the understanding of what deen is in Islam. Especially today, in 21st century, when we have so many religions, and the word religion became used even for those invented openly by men. You know, where in the past, when we talk about deen, it is the deen of Allah is only one, and it came in with different sharias because of the time and space and the revelation that Allah gave to each prophet, but the main message was the same. The language could have changed, the way of prayer could have changed a bit, but the main things were there. You know, that the deen was one since the time of Adam. Nowadays, religion is a kind of ideology, and the world is presenting religious like something very subjective, and yes, you should respect it, but you know what, in the other hand, they are telling us it's subjective, it's man-made, and it makes sense because majority of religions either are man-made or are a twisting of the original message of the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we can understand where that view comes from. But when we say the word religion, we feel that is this subjective message, which is not the same for everyone, which is so different, which is interpreted in anybody's terms or circumstances, and that is not the meaning of deen. Therefore, maybe I'm daring, and it's not, I don't know if it's correctly to say that, but in that point of view, I don't see Islam as a religion at all. Even though we might be seen as a very strong religion because we are not only got beliefs or an ideology, but a kind of a strong one, and rituals as well. So maybe we are more seen as a religion in the eyes of others than another belief systems. But I don't believe we are a religion because according to the meaning of religion nowadays, that's what I mean. Because Islam is more than that. The truth is, Islam is something that you do. It's an action. Islam is not an ideology. Islam is an action. It's the action of submission and giving up and getting rid of. And getting rid of what? Of ideology, of false idols. So it's all the contrary to ideology. Ideology comes from worshipping an idea or an idol or a concept and defending it. And it is true that Islam has been made by some Muslims as an ideology. There are some Muslims that worship religion, they don't worship Allah. So you see them defending to death their way, their madhab, their methodology, their understanding. You see them fighting with everyone, even with the same Muslims, to defend. Even they fight more with the Muslims than with the non-Muslims, defending their understanding of the deen, their understanding on how things should be. And these are the people that sometimes you see them apparently more religious than the rest of the Muslims. And they defend how the abaya should be, why you have to wear abaya, how it should look like, how from which part of the body should, from the head and not from the shoulder. And I'm not saying that these things are wrong. Yeah, I'm not saying that wearing it in this way or that way is wrong. Absolutely, I'm not talking about it. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the attitude of fighting others for doing it different. I'm fighting for the I'm just mentioning how some people get very stuck on the form. And by no means I'm trying to say that the way they are doing it is wrong. It's exactly the opposite. I'm saying exactly the opposite. It's that it's a way, and it's a way of understanding, and it's okay to understand it in that way. But what is not okay is to fight with others who understand it or see it differently, and judge them of misguided. Oh, may Allah give them hidayah for not having my own understanding. Because at that point, we are worshipping an idea. And then if you sit just back there, just ask yourself, what guarantees do you have that the person that taught you this is right? No, he showed me proofs. What guarantees do you have that his understanding of the proofs is the accurate one? Do you know that the people that think different from you also have proofs for that? No, but their proofs are wrong, you'll say, but they believe that their proofs are right. And they might use the same proof in two different ways that justify both ways. And when you are faced with those differences is when actually you calm down and you say, well, Allahu A'lam. Because we are thinking that our ways are correct because we got proofs and the rest of the people are stupidly, blindly following. We think like that. We think that those people lacked intellect. We are the only ones with intellect that search for the truth. And I'm not saying with that either that there are people that are not following blindly. And I'm not saying with that either that there are people that are actually not even following blindly, they are just confused. There are. But there is also a very big number of people that have intellect, that have research, and that have come to certain conclusions that might be different to the ones that you are following. Now, when we are sticking to those differences, we are not getting the meaning of this deen. Because the Shahada is not about where to put your hands in the moment of prayer or which color of hijab to use. The Shahada is La ilaha illallah. You're abandoning idols. And abandoning idols, sisters, also mean abandoning the worshipping of humans who bring the message. And it happens a lot that we like a speaker and then that speaker gets into trouble in his personal life or his work life or, social life, whatever. And then that person makes mistakes, which might be justified or not. That's not the point. The person simply does mistakes. And it's a good thing that happened to us sometimes. It's good that it happens. Because it's when we realize that we are so attached to people, we believe in them so much, we need to believe them, and we let behind the concept of La ilaha illallah. That at the end of the day, any human being that teaches us deen is a human being. It's not the super, hyper, mega, enlightened human being. It's just a person who happens to be there because he got kind of some of knowledge, not even the most knowledge, just some knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him. And he's doing a job. Just talking. But the one who guides you is not that person. The ultimate truth, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows it. It might be my concept and I might be very wrong. So when we give color to the deen, when we give importance to the form more than to the essence, we miss the whole point of what deen is about. We miss it. And I'm not saying with that to not give importance to the form. We should also. But hey, essence is essence, form is form. What do you think is more important? The essence will be the same, the form might change. That is a truth. The essence is one. The Shahada, there is no two ways about it. The form, there are a couple of differences, and it's fine. It's okay. Feel comfortable about it. We are humans. We got different mindsets. So deen is more than religion, according to my definition of religion of 21st century. It's something that is based on an essence, and therefore you develop a lifestyle. And what's the lifestyle of Islam? Giving up everything and going back to Allah at all times. What should I do about this? What should I do about that? How should I behave with this or that person? So at the end, everything we do in Islam, every action is just means of fulfilling that word, La ilaha illallah. It's a way of fulfilling that word, actually. It's a way of walking that word. It's a way of acting that word. It's a way of talking that word. It's a way of doing that word. In verb form. That's what it is about. What is 5 times a day prayer? It's a way of stopping and, hey, go back to La ilaha illallah. Yeah, there is a form to do it. You put your hands here, da 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 da. It's a form, but it's not about the form. It's not about the form. It's about the essence of it. And yes, because we live in a world of asbab, of means, of body, of that, we use forms. Use forms like marriage, for instance. Why people that become Muslim don't have to get married again? Oh, you have to get married again and do it with the 2 witnesses thing and the sheikh and the fatiha recitation. No. You got married in Buddhism or in whatever way, even to the point that some scholars agree that if your relationship with a man before Islam or in a non-Islamic society, it was recognized as a family, you both become Muslim, living like that. For example, a civil marriage, which is nothing to do with religion, or a civil contract agreement of living together, even though there is not even marriage in it, but it's considered kind of a marriage, a form of marriage, is valid. Why? Because it's not about the exact way of doing it. It's about the meaning of it. The meaning of it is that these two people are committed to each other and they form a family. Islam is way more open-minded than what we think it is. Way more open-minded. We are not. Islam is. Believe me, Islam is. Islam is so open-minded. Islam is much more open-minded than many people believe in 21st century. Imagine back in those days. And it will always be. Because Islam is about making things easy for people. Not what we got, the concept of, oh my God, being religious, following deen, it's kind of lots of things I gotta do, which are very complicated, and Islam is so restrictive. No. Islam make it very easy for you. Get rid of all those idols. Get rid of that fear of who will say about what she will think, what they will do, what. Getting rid of all that. It's about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And another meaning of deen is recompense. You know why? Because whatever you do, there is a consequence of it. There is an effect. You do good, you'll get good. You don't do that good, you won't get that good. You repent for the day doing not good, then Allah, inshallah, I'll accept that repentance. That's how it works. That's how actually it works. So that is a day where, hey, guess what? We are just going to respond for every single thing we did. Every single one. Every single one. And that brings you back to, okay, what am I doing with my life? How am I living? That is the question that should arise here. Because no matter how old are you are breathing, you have the chance to just do not stop. And if you have 60 years living wrong, it's fine. 1 second of acknowledging and changing inner, not even with action, inner, inside you, changing something changes those whole 60 years, because time is nothing. Time is nothing. It's not about time. It's about a decision of acquiring consciousness. And this verse, sisters, take us to consciousness, to be conscious of who we are, how we are, what are we doing. It's a shift. In these days, I've come to the conclusion that I have found the biggest pleasure on earth. And we got certain things in mind that we think are the cause of pleasure. But this one, for me, gives me more pleasure than anything nowadays. And it's simply to say to myself the truth. Not even to the others, to myself. Wow, what do I mean by that? I'm always honest. Well, not always. I've realized that we humans are we lie to ourselves more than what we lie to people, actually. That truthfulness is about just saying the truth to yourself about how you feel regarding a certain matter. Why you're acting in a way or in another about a certain matter. And you will realize that at the beginning, you feel everything is right, but just sit in that situation and really ask yourself, how do you feel? And if you want to do an exercise, just sit and start by the people that you feel something against them. And just take the person that you feel the most against and just sit with her presence in your mind, and just ask yourself, what do you actually really, really feel? And at the beginning, you'll say, I'm angry, I'm upset because she did this to me, whatever. But just stay there. Stay there and ask yourself, like you are in an interrogation, what do you really feel? And you know what? You will be surprised about what you find. And the first few words that come up that shows you your fears, your lower instincts, kind of your ego, like your jealousy or this or that, are awful moments, but for very few seconds. It's like you get out kind of something painful. Like imagine that there is like this needle encrusted and it hurts to remove it, but once you get it out, it's like you feel this pleasure that I cannot explain to you, how light you feel after that. Even though you just came to the funny conclusion that you are everything but this pious, good feeling person that you felt once upon a time that you were. You open up yourself to yourself with your vulnerability, with your lowest feelings. When you realize that you have felt things that you always condemn in others, like jealousy, like envy, you know, and etc. Whatever it is that you feel, you actually, two things happen. Number one, and both are very good. The first one, you stop thinking so good about yourself and you realize how dependent you are on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide you. And you are also grateful for guiding you to acknowledge that you don't need to change it. That's another thing about us. When we realize that we are in a certain way, we have this fear that runs through our body, and this ego comes out and says, I need to change this. I need to stop being like this. And you beat yourself so hard, so hard, so hard. And then that's when the lying face comes. Because you don't want to fail to yourself, so you will pretend that you are not like that anymore. And then you put those feelings under the carpet. But when you open up and yes, I am like this. I'm dramatic. I'm drama queen. No, I'm not. And then you do a drama about it. He's still being. And there is nothing more painful in life than lie to yourself. It's so painful. And you will realize how painful it is the day that you say to yourself the truth. And you know what? It makes you laugh also, because first you feel so light. You feel so light. You feel so light. Even though what you have discovered, according to your standards of judgment, is not that nice. But guess what? You're a human. And the important thing is just to say the truth to yourself. The bad thing that you feel that you're carrying with you, just give it to Allah. Give it to Him. He already knows it anyway. Don't think He doesn't. He always knew it. You tell Him, I have discovered this about me that you knew always, and you've guided me to face situations in order to find myself in those. And that takes us to another thing, which is very related to this day. This is He's the owner of the day of the recompense, which is not about others. That is the day when we will stop thinking. We think about the day of judgment as we will stand in front of Allah and we will say, so and so this to me, and we think Allah will say, okay, you were wrong, here is your recompense. And I'm not saying that that's not going to happen, kind of. But it's more about the recompense for what we do and how we feel and how we did and how we saw. It's about us, sisters. It's not about others. It's not about others. It has never been about others. The world and the life is not about others. It's not about others. Because when you are in a difficult situation, guess what? The one who is feeling bad, it's you, not the other. The other might feel his thing, but forget about that person. Just focus on you. You are the one who is feeling angry. You are the one who is feeling jealous. You are the one who is feeling... But it's because she bought that bag. You know, that you want to justify and blame her for buying that bag. And that she made me feel like this. And then that's when the whole thing of perception and conclusions come to us, and then we come with these super dramatic stories that the other person did this in order to make me feel like this. No. Forget about that person. You are responsible for what you are feeling. And if you are feeling jealous about your sister in Islam or your sister in humanity or your brother in humanity, whatever, it's you. Empower yourself with your feeling. You are feeling like that. And when you look at that person and you realize what that person has given you at that moment, it gave you the opportunity to see yourself in his mirror. Yani, he's your mirror. He was your master. He taught you a lesson. He was your teacher. He was your guide. He was your mirror. It was a kind of a catharsis, kind of. Through him, he was the means for you to see that about yourself. What is your attitude now about him? Oh, wow. Thank you. Even if you don't say it to him, you don't need to say it to him. But you feel in your heart gratefulness. Thank you for showing me who am I to myself. You might want to keep it to yourself. And that's completely fine and okay, and it's better. We shouldn't be around saying to people, oh, it's not wrong, but we don't know what level of understanding other people have. We might get them very confused. And we might be not doing them right by telling them how we feel about them, because they might not have our understanding at this point. You might make them whole, kind of higher and their ego grow. Just let it go. Or become really, really angry. You don't know. Just keep it to yourself. But that's how actually you get to know yourself. It's about you. So if you get it clear now, that's what the day of judgment is also about. I'm not saying that people will not pay to you for what they did wrong to you. But what if you forgive them? Because you actually realize your input in situations. I'm not talking about every single kind of situation. I'm not saying that you are guilty of somebody stealing your wallet. Yes, I'm talking about more simpler stuff and more common things that happen in everyday basis. You know what I mean? And then what if you just simply look at yourself, take advantage of the mirror they are showing you. Hey, this sister keeps on saying these things and I feel really annoyed and I feel really annoyed. And then, well, ask yourself, how do you feel about it? What feelings do arise when she talks to you like this? Makes me feel like that. Thank God. Thank you, Ya Allah, for letting me see this. Then you will stop feeling the need of dismissing those mirrors. Because that's funny, even if you get rid of people in your life, you stop talking to them, their memory continues there. I mean, you still remember them and you still continue having the same feeling. Deal with that. Work with that and let that go. It's a day. Do that to yourself before it happens in the day of judgment. Because it's going to happen anyway. That day you're going to be exposed. And to whom? To yourself. It's going to be open. So just do it from now. Ask His help to do it. This verse is about recognizing His majesty, yes. His power, yes. The rules and regulations that we should follow for the good of ourselves, yes. And it's also about taking us into, self-accounting. It will help us a lot. It will give us a lot of clarity. And that is, I am saying, and if you try it, and if you have tried it, you might agree with me that it gives a lot of pleasure. It's a lasting pleasure. Because you feel more human, because you feel more real, because you feel more light. Because this life is about getting rid of baggage, which is heavy. And it also, this verse, it shows us how complete our deen is. How complete. We need to do a more emphasis in the love and in the mercy side. I agree. I agree that what our methodology today is kind of focusing so much in forms because the essence seems so easy to us. I'll just give an example. When we teach somebody about Islam and we say, well, the first pillar of Islam is this, and then we stop there, we just talk about it, we explain it, you don't worship anything, you don't know, and then we move on to the rituals, and the rituals, we give them a lot of importance, which I'm not saying they don't have, but don't take the essence out of the ritual. Don't only talk about where to put the hands. Don't only talk about the timings of fasting. Always get back to why you are doing it. What's the whole point of it? What's the whole point of it? And you will realize that the whole point is to go back to this La ilaha illallah. But it's because it could have been 1 hour or 2 hours less of fasting, and it's okay, it's fine. It's not about that how many hours I do it, because of depending on the country I am, it's about the meaning of it. The meaning of the things. Let's go beyond the science. Let's go to the meaning. Let's be people with ambition. And let's see this beautiful meaning that Islam is so perfect. It's about me coming close to Allah and me also coming close in a different way. Coming close because I love Him and I want His mercy and I need of Him, and coming close to Him also because I know that I got a limit as a human being, and my limit is my brother. The rights of my brother, that's my limit. And his right as my Lord, that's my limit too. Therefore, looking at these two directions, I know where to stop so that we can have a life in harmony. That's why each planet got its orbit. Earth cannot decide tomorrow, oh, just let me go in the path of Jupiter. Because he got boundaries. Boundaries. The sun cannot say, oh, you know what, today I just feel so bored. Let me just go in the other side and just instead of coming from the east, let me come from the west. There are boundaries. You know why? Because not taking care of those boundaries, we are affecting the rights of the other people. When I am failing to do my obligations towards others, I am affecting the rights. I'm putting them in trouble, coming in their way of these people. We decide today, oh, I just don't want to drive my car. I want to drive it in the opposite direction because I just feel like, because I'm a free person. And I can cause so many accidents and lives. Do I have the right to do that? No, I got to stick to the rules. And we think in religion nowadays is, no, feel free, do whatever you want. Just do whatever you want. You are free. Allah forgives everything. Yes, but hey, can be unconscious. That's unconsciousness. My consciousness and my reason tells me that there is a limit, that there are rules that I need to follow. This is what it is about. And if you think about the things that are forbidden about Islam, it's because they affect your health, it's because they affect your understanding, but also at the large scale, they affect everybody around you. In my country, for example, in 21st century, just recently, 2017 rule came that nobody can get out of a liquor store with the bottle without being inside a bag cover. Why? A country where people used to drink in the streets, I forbidden to drink in the streets, sitting in the corners that the people used to do before, loud music and all of that. Why? Because they're Muslim? No. Because reason, experience have taken them to the conclusion of certain things. Oh, so it's kind of looking like Islam, isn't it? Without having a clue that this is pretty much Islamic. And then when we think about Muslim countries, oh, they are so extreme. You cannot drink in the street. You cannot drink in public. You cannot be drunk in public. You cannot blah, 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 blah. Well, there are countries in the West that are coming to these conclusions as well. Without having a clue about Islam, not because the president is Muslim, but it's because they've realized the effects of acting different. So that's what Islam is about. It's not about making your life hard and, this pure saint kind of. egocentric image we have about ourselves, we are so good, we are so pious. Forget about it. It's not about that. It's not about that. You're not more pious because you follow the rule of not drinking. It's good for you. Hopefully you do it because you are smart enough to know that you're praising Allah by doing something that is beneficial for you. That at the end, the one who is benefiting is you. And when your brother doesn't drink alcohol and doesn't get drunk and make scandals in the street, and I'm saying that everybody does, but just to give you an example, he's making your life safer. So let's take these images of self-purity and perfection and highness and oh my God, now I'm flowing in there because I'm almost about to become a saint. Or I pray 5 times a day, how good and glorious and I am, deserves Jannah. No, this is good for you. Brings you back to track, to consciousness. Helps you to remember your why you're here. It gives you happiness, by the way. It does. Boost your endorphins. This is what it's about. Getting real. Knowing that there is a day of reality. That's why it's also called Yawm al-Haq. Because it's the day where all realities will come up. So it's good to stop living our fantasy and become real right now. It will do a lot of good to us. Believe me. Islam, we need to understand it as it is. Not as they have portrayed it to us. I firmly believe that our methodology has been corrupted lately, and that might explain why in certain societies the way of teaching Islam is not giving the best results. Without mentioning names, it's not only one place, it's majority of places actually. So let's go back to that. Let's go back to the basics. We are in a good time to do this. To do a restart, press that restart button of the full understanding of everything. And inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us that understanding. Allahumma faqihna fid din. Allah give us the real understanding. And take us to the light of understanding, of comprehension, inshallah. With this, I will finish, and inshallah, in next class, we will continue with the rest of the ayah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.